Welcome to Lameness Locator Training Module 3, Generating an Analysis. By selecting the Save and Analyze Now button after data collection, we'll launch the analysis on the recently collected data. The raw head acceleration will be displayed, and the first question asked of the user is the selection correct, yes or no? Data to be analyzed will be indicated between blue and red stars. How this selection is determined is by the right front gyroscope sensor. The gyro sensor calculates a median stride rate. The default for selection is 10%, meaning that all strides that fall within 10% of the median stride rate will be included for analysis. This percentage was determined to be the most accurate for including regular trotting strides and not including non-trotting strides. In this example, data will be analyzed from here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here. And notice when the horse is stopping and turning around, those strides were not selected for analysis. In this example, the horse trotted down and back twice for 4 segments of data. In most instances, you will not need to change the selection and will answer yes if it appears that the program made a reasonable selection to include certain strides. If you would like to include more strides, you need to increase the percentage of strides included. You will select no and enter a delta value greater than 0.1, such as 0.15 or 0.2. And you can see here that a few additional strides at the beginning of each segment and at the end of each segment were included. If you would like to decrease the amount of strides included in the analysis, you will select no and enter a delta value less than 0.1, such as 0.08. And now you can see that the very first stride of each segment and probably the last 1 or 2 were eliminated from the selection. For the purposes of demonstration, we'll go back to our default selection of 0.1. Again, in most situations, you will not need to alter the selection. However, if you are working within a short barn aisle and perhaps were not able to get 6 contiguous strides before the horse stopped and turned around, Lameness Locator may not select that segment to include strides for the analysis. And therefore, you might see a selection in this segment and this segment and this segment. However, you may not see a selection being made in this particular segment. Therefore, you can force it to make a selection by increasing that percentage. So in this situation, in this example, this is a very reasonable selection. If you have chosen to alter the selection, Lameness Locator will continue to prompt you to answer the question, is the selection correct, until you are satisfied, and select yes. The forelimb data will then be plotted into a ray diagram. To view the ray diagram, take your pen stylus, grab the blue bar, and drag this window off to the side so that you can view the selection below. Each ray in the ray diagram plotted represents a stride, and the length of the ray is proportionate to the amount of asymmetry for that stride. We will go over report interpretation in much more detail in the final training tutorial. However, for the purpose of running the analysis, the user is prompted to answer one additional question, Do you want to remove outlier strides for the horse misbehaving? An outlier is a ray or rays that are longer and in the opposite direction of the majority of other rays. Horses tossing their head will create outliers, which increases the variability of your data. These can be removed by selecting yes. The user is prompted to answer above what standard deviation are considered outliers. The default selection is 100 standard deviations from the mean, which effectively does not throw anything away. A conservative estimate is 4 standard deviations from the mean, which will not discard very many strides except in the case of extreme head tossing. You can begin with 3 or 4 to see if the desired strides are removed. In this case, we will enter 3. Move that off to the side so that you can see the initial plot and the resulting plot. And the user will be continually prompted with the question, do you want to remove outliers, yes or no, until you are satisfied. And here you can see this outlier was removed in the second plot. Most of the time, the user may wish to run the analysis on the default selections through and go back and rerun the analysis, perhaps removing outliers. Oftentimes, just removing one stride will not significantly alter your results. So we'll go ahead and select no here, and then you are prompted which curve and values would you like to keep, reference 1 or reference 2, and in this case we'll keep reference 2. Once the question is answered, the analysis will continue on through the hind end, and upon completion the user is prompted, do you want to save the results? It's worth mentioning here that if you accidentally select no, you have not deleted your raw data, you've simply deleted the analysis that you've just run on it. So by selecting yes, your report will open. And we will discuss interpreting the report in the final tutorial of Lameness Locator interpreting the results. And lastly, we'll just quickly go through generating an analysis from previously collected data. So for instance, if you had saved your data but you hadn't run a report on it right after collecting your data, you can go back into your list and choose the data that you'd like to run an analysis on. Or you can rerun an analysis, perhaps changing parameters. Perhaps you want to change the selection of strides or throw out outliers, etc. So you would simply find the owner in your owner list and double-click, and then double-click on the horse, and then double-click on the trial that you wish to run the report. And as you can see here, I just ran an analysis on this data. However, if you had saved your data but you had not analyzed it yet, this field would be blank. So you simply, to generate a new analysis, select Generate a New Analysis, and that launches your analysis and you can run through it as previously described. That covers generating an analysis. The final tutorial will cover the various types of reports that can be generated and interpreting the results.